meeting, I think if I saw in my notes, we thought maybe 90%, Tyler.
Yeah, I think basically we've got everything compiled. I was kind of waiting on Stanley to do a couple more things, which is kind of the stuff that they're punch list items. So I would think probably right after the new year here, I would say just with the holiday coming up, that we should be able to deliver them. I would to you to review first to get them in your hands. So if you'd like to see what we have, I probably could get the electronic stuff started. I guess it's up to you. If you'd rather just have it all at once.
Yeah, all at once is pretty good because then, yeah, you don't, question is something else missing or, that way, yeah, it's all together.
Yeah.
And I'll have the
So yeah.
engineers look at it too.
Okay. So yeah, you should see something. It may even be the end of this week, but I'll see how with where everything's sitting. For sure it's gonna be right after the new year, but I'm thinking we might have something the end of this week too.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. I know based on the last meeting we had, I think it was 3 weeks ago, we went through a series of items that we were tracking that were outstanding. Tyler, I don't think there's any updates in terms of generator or renovation work in the existing jail. Is that correct?
Yep, the generator still stands kind of how we've been tracking with everything with April. The existing jail though, I talked with Steve. I'm just trying to line manpower, and it looks like probably that first week, I just got to get back with Steve here as soon as I know a hard date that we'll actually have some of our guys on site and WHV to go in there. There's a few days of work, just kind of getting some demo stuff reworked. So we're looking right now, trending to probably that first week of January to get in the existing jail and get that stuff done right away. So we're completely complete.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then I think too, Steve, if you want to give an update in terms of the soft opening last week, I know I was copied on the approval from DOC to go ahead and get inmates moved in. I know, Steve, you and I talked this morning, and obviously there's been a couple things that you've observed as you're moving in, as inmates are using the space. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the table.
Yep, thank you. Well, overall, it's been pretty good, actually. So we started, so the soft opening means that what we did is we brought people from our current facility over to the new facility, and then we were only accepting in new arrests. So that's the term of soft, why we stuck with that. We wanted to make sure that things were working as they should. And with that, they've been working fairly well. So we did, as Danielle said, we did have one little minor issue with some toilets. So some toilets were sort of blowing open the back. So whether it's a Willoughby issue or it's just really that they didn't tighten the pressure valves up for the diaphragms for shooting the water into the toilet right, that's to be determined. But either way, it's going to be looked at, and Market & Johnson's addressing that as well. And then we had a surprise leak in the glycol system for our HVAC pour system on top of the roof. So it was leaking green slime on top of one of the holding cells at 2 o'clock in the morning. So myself, Aaron Lafee, Dan came in along with Winona Heat and Ventilating. And then about 8 hours later, they were able to patch everything, clean everything up, and it's still patched and still working fine and not leaking. And I just saw another email thread go from Fernando to Aaron this morning on Aaron Lafee that sometime this week they're going to come in, and it'll be about an 8-hour process to actually, they need to drain down the glycol. And then, so we're going to have to work around the jail operations at that time. And then they're also going to put in valves that we discovered weren't inside of the system as well too. So it should have been a little bit easier fix on that Sunday morning if the shut-off valves were put in like what we wanted. But they're going to make it right, and we'll make sure that the valves are off. So if any time in the future this happens, it should be a much easier job to take care of it into the future. Our kitchen consolidated is up and running. The only amount of inmates that we've had in here is 7. That's the highest we are. We want to start to pull in more inmates. I just want to make sure that the toilets and everything are working well, because if we had 5 inmates and 3 toilets sort of blow out, I'd hate to have 30 inmates in here and have that same amount sort of go off, because at 1.6 gallons, the people flushing their toilets are going to keep flushing it because they're expecting water to push whatever through it. It's actually blowing water out the back into the pipe chase. So we'll get that resolved here quickly, and then start bringing more and more people back from other counties into here. Oh, Kelsey just joined me into here now too. So that's it in a nutshell. We're still learning. So Kelsey was out helping like a public fingerprint out there. So we have this nice public fingerprint area to do it where we don't have to bring them back. But it's just a learning curve for us. We were used to really bottlenecking and doing things back in the old jail, and it's now getting used to the system that we have to do it the right way. But go ahead, Danielle.
No, I think you covered it. See if there's anything else. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Marcia here. I have a question. I'm sorry. Something from a brand new roof leaked into a jail cell? Does that mean the roof has to be repaired too? That's
No, it wasn't. It didn't leak through the roof, Commissioner. What it was is the HVAC unit on top of the roof does have an access through the roof to heat and cool the building. And there was a break in one of the pipes, and maybe Aaron Lafitte can explain it better since I'm not that mechanically inclined on all the systems. Basically, the glycol had a leak into it, followed the pipe down, and then landed on top of one of the cells. It never went into the cell itself. It just went out the back into the pipe chase, and then followed the front of it in towards like the booking room where the staff actually discovered it a little bit before 2 on Sunday morning, which started the chain phone call reactions and the response of Aaron and Dan and myself coming into work. So Winona Heat and Ventilating did respond appropriately and correct coming in. I mean, their on-call person came in right away from, I believe it was the, and then the other people came in to follow up after that. So the patching was done probably, I don't know, probably about 6 o'clock in the morning. I want to say that patch happened. So it started, the notice was right around 2. So that's pretty good, quick response.
I don't question the response, but again, a leak, and now you're talking patch. If I had a brand new house, I wouldn't expect or a system. So I mean, is this patch guaranteed? Or I mean, again, we paid a lot of money for brand new stuff. Now we're already patching stuff.
Yeah. This is, yep.
The patch was temporary to stop the leak until we can do a permanent fix.
Yeah,
And they will cover this, and somebody else will cover the cost of this fix.
Yeah, this is all through WHV and their manufacturer, or it's more on their cells on the joint that failed. So it's like I said, it's just a patch until we can shut the system down. They're going to add some more valves to it and then basically refill it and get everything back going. But it's just a temporary fix for the moment, because like Steve said earlier, it's probably an 8-hour process to drain it, do it, get the valves in there. So right now it's just a temporary fix at the moment.
But when you say drain it and everything, does that mean we can't have prisoners in there, Steve? Or what does that restrict how many we bring back? Is this costing us more than just,
Yeah, this part of the process shouldn't really restrict completely us bringing more inmates back, but it depends really how long they're going to be like in our booking room and that kind of stuff. That's really to be determined really with these further conversations between Aaron Lafitte, Fernando from Winona Heat and Ventilation, and then myself. So I guess, and if I recall, Aaron, that's today or tomorrow is that meeting he's setting up?
I meet with him at 2 o'clock today to go over placement of the valves.
Okay.
And then also he wants to look at the flush valves on the back of the cell also at that time.
Yeah, I was going to say too that there are other air handlers in the facility too that are up. I think there's a threshold limit, Steve, if I'm correct, of the temperature range that you have, and it's actually pretty wide for inmates, that it will for sure stay within that range of temperature. And
yeah. I'm not too concerned about temperature wise. I was just more indicating for operational wise, like, just having ladders in hallways and booking rooms, that kind of stuff, as they're putting in these valves and stuff like that. That's all I was referring to. I'm thinking with the multiple systems and how this jail's set up, I think temperature wise will be just fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right. So,
Yeah.
okay, going back to the list of things we were talking about 3 weeks ago, I think we've met in the interim, and we are in the process of identifying, some steps to take. I know, Aaron, you weren't on the meeting. I apologize for 3 weeks ago, but we did identify a couple of PRs that we have out that are being reviewed. So the one is the camera audio, and the other one was the cooling in the electrical room, just to see what we want to do with that. Is there anything else that you guys want to review here, since we've got the whole committee? No? Any questions, or I guess maybe the question is, do we need another committee meeting, or is everyone feeling pretty comfortable in terms of the communication chain that we worked out, and identifying any items that have come up with Market and Johnson and the design team?
Me personally, this Steve, I'm good with whatever direction the group wants to go into. If they want to have more meetings like this, I think that that's absolutely fine. People are wanting to have them less, and have more of the people in the trenches sort of jumping in to fix them and then notifying them as they go along. That's fine too. But I'm absolutely fine either way.
I would prefer the opportunity to hear about how it's going.
Okay. All right. So we do want to look at, do we want to target January? Let's see. Looking at the calendar, I think we were previously meeting on the last Tuesday. What's that, Marcia?
Well, I think an email chain would be beneficial. I don't know if we need the group to come together, but emails and how both construction is affecting the operations and how the operations are going in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
This is
that works also.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. I guess I would suggest that, I think, yeah, the email chain is good. Obviously, our office is connected. Alex has been working pretty closely on the issues that have popped up. But could we as a group meet after everybody switched over from Houston County and, the jail is pretty much full operating, so that we could see, okay, what were the issues? Is everything, running well as a group, just to be able to hear that?
Yeah, I'm wondering, Steve, is that something, my guess is late January, depending on the toilet fixes?
Yeah, for me, the only real reservation I have right now is just the toilets. I just wouldn't want to have basically 75% of the inmates that we bring back have that same level blowing out back into our pipe chases. So if we can work with Winona Heat and Ventilating, obviously Aaron's doing that, so he's going to be discussing the HVAC, the toilets at 2:00 today. So I think if we can get them to jump on that really quickly, we can start bringing inmates back from Houston. We'd still want to just get them back, so get those back and then start pulling the other ones back just to make sure that we haven't missed anything. But we have inmates spread out all over the place. So we want to get them back. I agree with the commissioners wholeheartedly that we need to, I want to say, stop that bleeding of sending the money out. That's for sure. But we need to get them back. So we're right there. It would just be bad if all of a sudden we brought those, we just all of a sudden brought what would be 4 times more inmates, 20 more inmates brought back here right away, and all of a sudden we just have all these ultimate failures, and then you move them to another unit, and if those were failed, so if they're just not put on right, let's just get them put on right. Let's just make sure that they're putting the plumbing in like it's supposed to. It's supposed to work like it's supposed to. He's not here and stuff, but I knew that Houston County had Willoughby toilets as well too, so I reached out to Houston County, and then ultimately got Greg Olson's calling me back and stuff, said that they've had them for 12 years, never had one blow out. Said not one's done what's happened here. So I'm not sure what's going on here, if it's just a design change or if it just was a improper install, but either way, I think once it's fixed, if I'm hearing correctly from him, this should be fixed. Once it's fixed, it's fixed.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, and with that, just and Steve and Aaron obviously have been in the loop with us here, but basically WHB is looking to go there today, and then they're gonna go check each one individually to make sure if it was not tightened enough or what the issue was, verify that it for sure wasn't installation, and then if it is, obviously fix that immediately. Otherwise, have Willoughby the manufacturer on site to review them. So it's in the works right away. We know it's priorities. So hopefully it's a minor quick fix that something just wasn't tightened enough, and maybe that might have been a couple just fault. There might have been only 5 of them, that's but like I said, WHV is going there today to do the review.
thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm looking at Tuesday, January 30th at 9 a.m. That work for everybody? And then Karin will just make sure that, yeah, we would move the date if something did change in terms of bringing the inmates over from Houston.
I'm thinking something sooner than that, because it sounds like whatever corrections are going to take place are going to be taking place in the short run. So I was thinking more like 2 weeks or something.
2 weeks. So then, yeah, we're looking at, January 2nd, right after but I think, I guess if we do that, I guess my wonder is maybe we have another one in 2 weeks if we need that after that.
Well, the second doesn't work anyway, because we have a morning county board meeting, so that wouldn't cut it. But
Yeah, I'm okay if we did the 9th. I would think that might give everyone enough time, and it should be just a short call, unless there's a board meeting that day too.
when?
You said the 9th?
Yeah, that's we
I,
have 3 meetings in January,
Oh,
so that is
all right.
also a board meeting.
yeah. Do we look at,
How about the
do we
10th?
look at January 3rd? It's a Wednesday.
Works for me.
I can do it.
I know on my end, I have a couple meetings that day, but I could get Sam to call in if everyone's okay with that, to keep an update on our end, on market side.
What
Mhm.
time are we thinking?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Yeah,
9?
it works for me.
Works for me too.
Just don't schedule any catastrophe over the holidays. I don't think people respond on the
no.
holidays. So.
I'm
Is
hoping
this
we're
where
all
we
out of
knock
that
on
now.
wood?
Have some 5
Yeah.
gallon pails in a toilet.
Mm.
Like the good old camping days. A 5 gallon bucket.
All right. All right. Yeah, so I think Heidi will be able to send out this invite then for Wednesday, January 3rd at 9 a.m. Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments before we
Uh,
sign off?
I do just want to say thanks to everybody for working so hard to get the issues fixed. And
Thank you.
yeah, everyone. Thanks to Aaron and his staff as well for kind of taking on some things.
I'd like to reiterate on that too. I sent an email to Aaron. It means that ever since he took over his facilities, I can't speak for all the buildings, but I personally can say that I've noticed a humongous difference in between 201 and 203 building over here, between the responses of what they're doing. So he's doing a really good job for the county, that's for sure. And I want to say I very much appreciate it. Very good job.
And I would
Thank
echo that at the courthouse too, Aaron. So the courthouse is, Aaron is so responsive with his folks. And so, yes, thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I think we'll sign off today. Thank you, everybody.
Excellent.